Results on the pitch have been positive, the team around you has grown, and the perception of the Harriers women has changed for the better. As the head of women's and girls football, would you agree that the decisions you made during the summer have proved to be the right ones?
In a short answer, John, probably yes. I think there was a lot of conversations at the back end of last season, probably even before the start of the opening of the trials and everything for this season. I've been talking to Andy and co for a while about stepping back in, about the project. That's a term that's used in a lot of clubs a lot of times. But having seen the pathway developing and the guys back at the ranch, Harry, Brandon, Luke, they've built a pathway for girls that starts at under 11s, goes to 18s, obviously ladies as well. And I think that having shown that they're building something for the future, not just pinning it all on a first team, I think that excited a lot of people, made a lot of noise. We've gone from 15s and a 16s probably to a team in every age group, a women's team that is performing well, obviously, as the results show. Gone from 2 coaches to a coaching staff of 6 or 7. So there's been a lot of work by a lot of people, and I think that the results have shown that. The backing from the club's been great, and we're obviously paying that back with a half decent FA Cup run, which is great for everybody. That obviously the social media's growing, the interest in the club's growing as a whole, which is all part of the plan, I guess. We wanted to not just build a good women's team, we wanted to let people know that Kiddie Harriers are growing for the future and trying to do things the right way, I guess.
And as for yourself, Matt, we still see you in the dugout on match days and get involved in the training sessions too. Is this something that you're still passionate about and don't want to back away from?
Can't give it up, mate, to be honest. I think that, obviously, because I've been in and around football pretty much all my life, I've done a lads team, I've done a men's, I still do a lads team on Saturday, I've done men's, I've done girls, I've done obviously ladies as well. It was always about the coaching for me. Obviously, stepping up into head of women's, I still get to do coaching with obviously the ladies, but I do some little bits with the junior section as well. I look at it from a commercial viewpoint as well, so support the team behind us doing that as well. But I think the reason I've kept involved is A, because I really enjoy it, but B, it's nice to have a foot in both camps, if that makes sense. Know where we are commercially with budgets and everything else, and trying to do things to generate revenue and sponsors and everything else, but also know what's happening on the pitch. And I get on very well with the management team as well, with Harry and Andy. I've known them a long time from the old days, if you like. Obviously Dave's still involved as well, and he helped me last year as well. So what we've tried to do is build a team that get on as much as do good sessions and good coaching. We want to be able to have a conversation or all do things the right way, and I didn't really want to step away too far from that, so I'm still there on a lot of the training sessions, work depending obviously, and pretty much every match day as well. So yeah, it's a crowded changing room, mate, let's put it that way.
And a Volker one as well.
Yeah, exactly that.
Before we go into detail around the FA Cup, just a few words on the start of your league campaign. Currently second in the league, behind what appears to be a very strong Shifnal side. How do you think you're progressing in the league so far?
This league, this season, is very, very difficult, I've got to be honest. There's some really good teams in it. We've had some great games. Shifnal, first game of the season, that it was one of those games that the scoreline doesn't necessarily reflect the game, but they were better than us on the day. There's no two ways about it. And we were, I won't say shocked, because they've got a good setup over there, but a little bit surprised, and they've carried on that form and are beating teams left, right and centre at the moment, so that they're doing very well. But I think take Shifnal out of it a little bit, because they've started going off like a rocket. Everybody else seems to be taking points off everybody. We've seen it week on week. I think last season you could pretty much hang your hat on 2 or 3 teams winning most weeks. That doesn't seem to be happening this year, which for a neutral makes Tier 5 a great place to look at, because you just never know what's going to happen with the results. So we're doing our thing. We're doing the best we can, and we picked up some good results. We've played a couple of very good sides in the likes of Shrewsbury and alike, and have managed to take wins off them in very tight games. So yeah, I think we're in a far stronger position than we maybe expected to. We thought it might develop as the season goes on, and after losing the first game, we took stock and went, hang on, we need to improve quickly, and I think we have, and I think we're in a strong position to carry that on for the rest of the season, hopefully.
200 tickets sold inside the first 24 hours, Matt, for the upcoming game versus Stourbridge. Do you think this has helped by the change of date and venue? And can you tell us what your thoughts were and the conversations you had when making these changes?
I think because of the size and scale of the game, the club have backed me massively, to be fair. I thought on Sunday, every Tom, Dick and Harry is playing in the FA Cup. All the local teams have drawn each other, which is as we expected. So you've got some big games locally, and for neutrals, you've got to pick a game. And I thought if we could maybe, with the backing of Stourbridge, who have been great with it as well, look at a midweek, get it down at Agborough, which is a fantastic venue, as we saw when we played early on in the season. Try and do it midweek, get it under the lights. All the neutrals, and there's a lot of them in women's football, and certainly locally, all want to come and watch it if they can. And I think if you've got to make a choice between 4 or 5 different teams on a Sunday, that's going to affect. And things like this, it's not just about the prize pool, it's about the revenue you can generate on the day and the atmosphere you can create for both teams. It's not just all about kiddie. Stourbridge have been flying the flag for women's football for a long time, and I think all the players and management and staff and everybody involved with both clubs deserves a big day in a proper stadium. Cosy is a great setup, there's no two ways about it, but if we're expecting, I'd like to get 500-600 people, if not more, down here. We couldn't have the logistics to support that at Cosy. Here we can, and I think it'll be a great evening. We've got sponsors coming down, we've got mascots coming down. Obviously, there's hopefully a lot of people coming to watch. The bar will be open and everything else. So I just think it'll be a good evening, and it'll be a flagship game, hopefully, for women's football in the local area, and get as many people down to watch it as we can.
Clearly, Harriers women are already history makers after making it this far in the FA Cup. But I bet you feel, whether it be this season or next, this team can go even further in the FA Cup, can't they?
I think this team can go further, full stop, to be honest, John. Yes, the FA Cup's really important, but I think what we're building here with solid infrastructure, it's not a one-season wonder. We're trying to do things the right way. We're bringing in new teams again for next year to strengthen the pathway and improve it. Looking at other women's teams to come across as well and join us for reserves or debs or whatever it might be. Keep a good management team around us. I think the future's looking really bright from our side and from the club side. We're on the, I won't say the crest of a wave because it's a long-term project, but this kind of noise around the FA Cup and the success we're bringing in only helps push the club forward, and we intend to carry that on for as long as we possibly can.
Your manager of the women's section, Andy Fisher, will be more emotional than anyone on the 27th on Wednesday. How excited is he to be facing his former team in what's being coined as the Andy Fisher derby?
He's more emotional than most people most of the time, to be honest. But I think he's got mixed emotions and no two ways about it. We've had lots and lots of conversations about it. He spent a lot of time and energy getting Stourbridge to the levels they're at, and obviously took a little bit of time out, which he needed to do, and he's come back into a project that is not dissimilar to where Stourbridge was at one point. He sees that. Obviously, he's got a lot of his old friends are still at the club. He's got a lot of players that he's brought over from Stourbridge to us. So there's a lot of mixed emotions for a lot of people. Fish being the main one. Harry, I'm sure, will be of a similar kind of ilk, having spent a lot of time there. And I think that he's very focused on the women enjoying the day, making it about them. Yes, he's going to be emotional, but it's not, for him, it's not about Andy Fisher necessarily. It's about women's football, about both teams enjoying it, putting on a spectacle for the fans. We might have to rein him on the dugout a little bit, I've no doubt, during the 90 minutes, but that's Andy Fisher, and we wouldn't change that passion that he brings to every game, mate, whether it's a local derby or whether we're travelling 2 hours to Port Vale. It's the same thing. He gets the team going. His team talks are rousing, to say the least, and he's very meticulous with the way we sit down and we work out the strategy for the game. There's a lot of stuff I didn't necessarily realise it when he came in. There's a lot of stuff that we as a management team do behind the scenes in terms of planning and everything else. It's not just turn up on a match day and the first 11 that grab a shirt get a game. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes that I didn't necessarily appreciate when he arrived, and that's all part of the Andy Fisher passion, I guess.
Excellent, yeah. An abundance of talent has come in around the squad in the past few months. Is this a sign that more and more people are now recognising the Harriers to be the new force this season and in future seasons to come?
I think so, yes. We've spent like I said probably in the previous interview and at the start of this, mate, we've spent a lot of time not just on the team but on the backroom stuff. So we've got a physio involved now, we've got strength and conditioning, we've got player liaison, we've got social media, all the things that build a club and a mentality within that team that breed success. And I think that some of the players we've recruited this season, I've heard noise, and it is a statement of fact that they shouldn't necessarily be playing at this level. Maybe they're slightly too good for Tier 5, and I wouldn't argue with that, but they're here because they want to play at an environment they feel welcome, they enjoy and want to help progress. And we've seen that there's been some tight games this season. Port Vale away was one where we were backs against the wall, and without that character, it's a difficult place to go. And without that character, and without those people really wanting to win for their teammates as well as the management staff, some of these games would have been a lot more difficult and probably different results without that passion that's driven from the top, I guess, and the players we've got in that are used to winning. I think that winning mentality is really important, regardless of what level they're at. If you've got a squad that's used to winning games of football and knows how to win a game of football, and you've got characters within that will drag the team forward, if they're not having their best game, then you will pick up more wins than losses, and that's kind of where we are at the moment.
And finally, Matt, we don't stop moving here at Kiddie Harriers. I think the neutrals and the people on the outside will agree that Harriers women's team have moved forward this season. But what's next as 2025 is fastly approaching?
What's next? Wednesday's next. It is the first thing, and I think we've got, away from that, we've got aspirations to do well in the league. We know that. We've got aspirations. We haven't come into the County Cup yet. I think we come in next round, so that's a focus. We want to try and get to a final in that as well. I think in terms of off the pitch stuff, there's a bit more work going on with some sponsors at the minute, and a bit of work on the commercial side, which is looking good for the back end of the season and going into next season as well. That's always going on, to be perfectly honest. We're always looking for ways to attract fans, sponsors and everything else. Like we are in conversations about a development side for next year as well, which is pretty much agreed. We've just got to finalise a few things. Pathways continuing to grow as well. There's a girls development centre specifically open now for high achieving girl footballers at the age of 11 to 15 or 16, I think it is. It isn't just Kiddie Harriers based. It's basically for anybody in the area that's performing at a high level. So there's a lot of stuff going on for the future. We're looking at trying to open a girls team linked with Kidderminster College in terms of an academy kind of setup as well. So there's a lot to look at going forward. I think it's an exciting time for the club, obviously not just with the wins on the pitch, but all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, getting games on down here and attracting a lot of people will only help grow that. And I think it's an exciting place to be, mate, to be honest.